All right. All right. Good evening, everybody. Hello, welcome to the latest Press Row Hangout slash Doddcast crossover. These are becoming more regular, and I'm enjoying this. I am Rich Grisham. Thank you, everybody, for listening and for watching tonight. With me this evening, I have my two good friends. Up first from Washington, my friend Brian Weedeye from Pasta Padre. Brian, how are you? Welcome.
It's very cold here, so I am learning things like how to turn on my furnace and stuff. That I hadn't had to do that yet. I mean, it was such a hot summer, and so it's like clear and very cold. And I'm going to the hardware store several times a week now to get various things to prepare for winter and stuff like that. So that's the excitement on my end of things here.
Yeah, we had a U8 soccer match this morning at 9 o'clock, and it was 29 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. It was cold.
I think it was 23 here this morning.
Yeah, it was cold, and all the little kids are running around and stuff, and I was thinking, yeah, I'm ready for basketball season. This outdoor soccer, 23 degrees, that's a little rough. Also with us, our good friend from Dodd Scientifics, Mr. Pete Dodd. Pete, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, and since we're talking about such exciting things as the weather, it is probably about 60, 65 degrees out right now. It was like mid to high 70s today, and it's actually really warm in here, so I have a fan on because I don't want to sweat on camera.
So basically, it's the polar vortex is going right over Seattle and then just kind of going around Utah and then boring in directly on New Jersey.
Well, I basically live in Arizona. I mean, it is, you can throw a baseball at the border, like I'm on a border town. So I am in the desert.
All right, lots of good stuff to talk about tonight. We got
Good
some
stuff.
We got some. What's that?
Sorry, I was going to say some isn't so good though.
Well, yeah, true. Lots of interesting things to talk about tonight. Some good, some not so good. Before we get into it, I wanted to mention something. I think Pete Dodd, you and I have spoken quite a bit about this. I'm not exactly what you would call a PC gamer, but I do have a PC. I do have a Steam account, and I'm very proud of myself because a couple days ago I installed a mod.
Wow.
And I only brought along like 4 viruses with that mod.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
We've talked about it. It's probably been a while, but my son loves using the Portal 2 builder. When you buy Portal 2 on Steam, you get this whole level building capability, and he loves it. He when I hop on the treadmill most nights, he'll then hop on the computer and he'll be doing that while I'm working out. And he loves it. He builds these elaborate things, but he also goes in and checks out the different levels that other people have made, and he notices that they have different textures and different stuff than the regular thing gives you. And so at one point he went to play a level and said, "Ooh, you need the B mod to be able to play this." So after a lot of cajoling by him to me, I was like, all right, we'll give this a shot. And I went out there and I did what everybody now does to do anything. I Googled how to do it, and I installed it, and it worked. And so
was it outside of Steam, or was it part of the Steam workshop?
It was outside of Steam, which is why I also then managed to install several viruses along with it, which is a little upsetting. But they're the kind of viruses that pop up. They're like, your PC needs to be cleaned. Come on, So it's very easy to shut them off and to go in and uninstall some of them. I'm sure there's a whole bunch more malware on there that I'll never get rid of. But on the other hand, when he goes in to build his levels, now he's got all this cool new stuff. So he's excited about that. So mission accomplished there.
Nice. It's good to hear you're as good at installing mods as you are at Destiny. I would like to know that we did, as we usually do on Saturday, we did our weekly raid of the Vault of Glass, and for the third or I think this was my fourth raid. For the fourth straight week, there was a joke about Rich Grisham being absolutely garbage at Destiny.
I was just messing around with SharePlay. Come on.
You haven't. Rich hasn't gone back in and tried it, has he?
No. Absolutely. Well, they probably turned it off, right? Didn't a ton of SharePlay was great question. Completely not even prepared for it, but I'm curious because Pete, I know you're on top of this. Mm-hmm. Big controversy this week, one of many, but evidently SharePlay was either turned off for a bunch of games or because of a firmware update, it just stopped working. Which was it? What is going on with SharePlay?
The only game that I know of that it was intentionally turned off for is Call of Duty, which kind of makes sense because number one, you can play split screen multiplayer online, so like there's been a lot of kids play it, and I think kids would be willing to put up with that stuff more, like the issues with it. And the campaign in Call of Duty is usually pretty short. So SharePlay they see as a threat. The other games, the way they blocked it is the same reason that the other games are blocked, which is basically using the whole share system. When you're streaming a game, if you're using Sony's built-in stuff, they have things where they will block stuff out. You see it we see it most of the time, like when someone gets a friend request or they get a trophy and you get that big black box. But some developers...
Sorry, Pete, I was just going to say also when you're streaming, they can block certain scenes. That's basically the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like with streaming, with recording video, with all of the different share things, they can block certain things. And if they don't want you recording the ending of the game, they can make that not shareable. And the side effect of that also means that SharePlay doesn't work because it all sort of is tied in together.
So, for example, FIFA 15 was on the list this week that evidently SharePlay got turned off for. Is that accurate, or was that just a bug and a weird thing that happened?
I had not heard that. It wouldn't surprise me, though, to be honest. With EA. I don't know why you would do that, but obviously it wouldn't surprise me.
I haven't verified it, but Sony did tweet out that they fixed a SharePlay issue.
Yeah, there was a SharePlay bug, yeah.
It was causing a lot of games to come up that way. I'm guessing it was just among those that were having the issue that they fixed, whatever was causing it. But
it would be nice.
Try it out. Yeah.
It would be nice to have some actual facts about this stuff. This seems to be very nebulous as to whether games are explicitly preventing SharePlay from working. Sony's done at least, 2 or 3 firmware updates in the last couple of weeks, and evidently some of those have broken it, then they've patched it to fix it. It's kind of, I don't know,
There's
strange.
Less transparency than ever, it feels like. It's like, usually, like in the past when there was a problem, like there was with the firmware when 2.0 came out and people were having problems with rest mode, in the past it would be like, we know it's happening, we're working on it. Now, these days, and it's not just Sony, but I'm picking on Sony in this instance, these days it's just like, let's just not say a word about it, and then, until we have a fix. Because I think in their minds, if they make a comment, then everyone picks it up, including possibly non-hardcore gaming places. It ends up in the New York Times or something, So Sony PlayStation 4 having trouble with newest update, I think they're terrified of the media, but that's a loss for us.
Could not agree more. Great place to start, I think, tonight is with the tweet that comes from our friend Chris Johnston, the host of the amazing Player One podcast. He says, now that both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One have been out for a year, let's hear the report card. Good, bad, needs work for both. there are probably 100 different directions that we could go. But I'm going to start with you, Brian Weed. Give me your initial impressions to that question. The report card and you can either split them up or put them together, next gen or individually the PS4, or the Xbox One. How does your report card look for you personally, as Brian Weed 1 year after the release of both of these platforms?
Yeah, I don't know if it's changed all that much. I mean, obviously they have changed. They've done a lot of things to try and, in Microsoft's case, turn things around, or Sony try to stay ahead. I mean, I'm excited that my friends list loads on the PS4. That's a big advancement. It took a year.
Now that you mention it, is that being fixed?
Yeah, I know. That's pretty much the excitement. And then SharePlay on PS4. When they came out, I said, the PS4 to me was the gaming console to me, and the Xbox was the multimedia console. And it kind of stays that way, although the exclusive games Microsoft has, like we'll talk about a little more later, Sunset Overdrive and stuff, I tend to find myself drawn to those. Now, Sony has some of those coming, but they haven't really hit on many of them in the last year. So, yeah, I don't know how I'd grade them out. Obviously, Sony is still, perception-wise, it's still well in the lead. Microsoft dropping the price and stuff, trying to dig themselves back into the picture. But I like both of my systems. Now, I don't know if either one justifies, if you already own one, getting the other, because they do so much similar now. But I think they're both really, it's both effective, enjoyable hardware. So I've had a good time with them in the last year.
Yeah, I mean, if I take that question on a personal level, for me, Rich Grisham, these two systems have been amazing. Absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's going to sound ridiculous, but my life is a little better because of these systems, because I have had more fun playing video games since they came out than I did before. Lots of great examples. Our Press Row Madden League is great, and it's because the systems enable us to all have fun together. Our FIFA Premier League and our, even the Dodd Scientific's FA Cup, like these little things that we do, we can only do because we're playing them together on these systems. I have had wonderful experiences playing Forza Horizon 2 and FIFA and NBA 2K and Madden and a lot of other games. I've had wonderful experiences playing indie games like Max the Cursed Brotherhood and Valiant Hearts: The Great War. I have really enjoyed a lot that these systems do. Now, I understand there are lots of problems and lots of frustrations, things that we're going to get to, but for me personally, they've been great. I give them both, relatively speaking, very high marks. Again, from my personal perspective, what it's done for me. Pete Dodd, where do you stand on this sort of report card for both of these systems a year after launch?
Well, I agree with you. I enjoy both. And full disclosure, I do not have an Xbox One right now. I had to sell it, and I'm looking to reacquire. And with the price drops, I'm actually going to make money in it. But I've enjoyed my time with the Xbox One considerably. I've enjoyed my time with the PlayStation 4 considerably. I think it's helped us, and this is going to make Microsoft fanboys, or not even fanboys, like that's mean, just Microsoft-centric or Xbox-centric people mad, but I think it helped us that the PlayStation 4 was sort of the clear-cut thing to buy at launch, and that's why, like, the Press Row League, like all of the sports leagues we have, it was just like we all bought the PlayStation 4. Some of us had Xbox Ones as well, but not everybody. So that got, like last gen, you were mostly, like Rich, you were mostly on the 360. I was mostly on the PS3.
Right.
We didn't get to play together very much. And the game that we would have played together, MLB The Show, didn't work online.
Right.
So it was like...
Or doesn't work online.
Yeah, still does not. So I want to say, before I go into this, I echo what you just said completely. I have enjoyed this year. I feel like I've had a game, at least one game that I've been in love with, usually 4 or 5 games that I'm in love with the entire year round. But if you look at the year, just so many things went wrong. I mean, if you look at the launches, the operating systems for both were just completely lacking. Microsoft has been a lot better about updating. Sony waited a long time. The operating system's pretty good right now, but that's been a problem. There's been so many botched launches, like just awful, awful launches. And they keep coming, I mean, it's like Assassin's Creed Unity and Master Chief Collection and DriveClub, like all of these huge, like these are supposed to be the biggest games during the fall, and they're all having issues. NBA 2K even, like had server issues for the first week or so, and Madden had the desyncs, I mean, like. I'm starting to play Lords of the Fallen right now. Like, that game's crashed on me 3 times in 2 days. I love the game otherwise. We'll get into that later. But it's like all of these games are broken. But that also, like, I hate to be a video game apologist, but that's also what is amazing about this first year is that all of these things have gone wrong, but I think back and go, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple things that I think really stand out, right? Streaming is at the top of the list. Like the fact that we can stream these games has been a beautiful thing. And if you had the right capture card and the right PC, you could stream stuff on the 360 and the PS3. But the fact that it's basically you press a couple of buttons and then you're streaming and you can interact with people in the camera, like that has been, irrespective of the specific games, just the ability to have that, relatively speaking, integrated well into the system has been wonderful. And it's been wonderful for me because in our very specific competitions that we are in, like our group of friends, it's amazing. Like, how great is it when we're having our playoffs and our Super Bowl that just like the 8 or 9 or the 10 of us are all watching it together and experiencing it? It really changes everything for the better. It's been wonderful.
And we've been asking for spectator mode forever, and then all of a sudden streaming came along, and it didn't even occur to me that was spectator mode. But I remember like playing like NFL 2K2 or 2K3, like a couple years after just the shock of being able to play football online and being like, I wish I could watch someone else's game, and now we can. I mean, yeah, you could do it before this gen if you had the proper hardware, which I did. Which, like, now I wish I could sell this card, but, it's worthless now. Yeah.
And the other thing that again, this is me personally, right, is I love hitting the button and being able to upload to my Twitter account the result of a match that I just played. I have discovered these new fun ways to share my experiences with people, and there might only be 5 or 10 or 20 people, but during my campaign of playing FIFA as Everton on professional, trying to stay above relegation, I had probably 30 people that when a game was over and I would tweet out the picture of the image would be like, oh, way to go, or come on, like just those kind of things have been great. And so again, irrespective of individual games, those are the things that for me stand out. Brian, I mean, I know a lot of this is similar to you. Any other things that sort of stand out to you from this generation that's been like, wow, this thing or this particular type of experience has been particularly fun, something that you either didn't expect or just something that resonated with you?
Well, you're right. You're right about all the social stuff. That is a big part of the enjoyment we've had, even with games that aren't, we're not involved with other people, like you said, playing offline in FIFA, or me just wanting to stream some Sunset Overdrive or whatever, whatever it may be, or Destiny. It really brings people together. But then, we've talked about this the last the last time we've got together, SharePlay, which is just a huge revolutionary thing. I think when it, when it's offered and working on a game, and it really, that was one of the first things that stood out to me as being, wow, this is really like a futuristic feature. Everything else has kind of been on par of what I expected, except for the social stuff and the streaming, which became bigger than I would have imagined it at the beginning. But otherwise, I think you covered it pretty well.
Another thing that sort of stands out to me is the combination of digital and social. Like the golf club is a great example to me of the kind of game that I don't think really would have worked until this generation, where it's a digital release and it's completely hooked in with all my friends, and I can go out there and I can play golf, and I can, within 2 or 3 clicks of a button, I can be playing golf on a course that my friend played, and I can be playing against his ghost, or if he happens to hop on in a couple of minutes, the next thing you know, we're both playing golf at the same time. There's all these tournaments and things like that. It's just, those kind of experiences are also something I don't really recall happening before now. I'm sure they were there, and I know in the PC world, Pete Dodd, you were part of that master race. This is something that is, far from new and different. But for me, it's been, has just been another, especially as somebody who has very limited time. When you have very limited time and you can go into something, and you don't have to get a whole bunch of people together and say at this exact time this is when we're all going to do it, but you can still go in and still feel like you're part of a greater group. That's another thing that I think, in some ways, the PS4 and the Xbox One have done a really good job of. But with all of that, oh yeah, go ahead.
I want to bring up one more thing, since this is big to you, Rich, personally. I know Connect, right? Voice commands. Hey, I use them. I'm not even really making fun of it.
You enjoy shouting at machines. We have established this.
I do, and I do it in places where I don't have an Xbox hooked up. Like I tweeted out, this was, I don't know, months and months ago. I tweeted out I was at a hotel, I was in my room, and I said, Xbox mute or whatever. Xbox mute. I gotta shut up my TV now. Actually, voice commands I think are pretty nifty, and the same thing with having the cameras to use for streaming, as opposed to needing to use your own webcam or whatever it might be.
Pete, anything else that sort of stands out to you as a positive or something that has been good for you, even if it's a little thing or just something that didn't happen before the PS4 and or the Xbox One were released?
It's hard to separate, like what's happening, why. Like I feel like I'm having a lot more fun playing with a larger group of people, but that may have nothing to do with the systems and just be because of the website and the podcast and you guys having me on, your podcast, which has far greater reach and stuff. But yeah, I feel like whatever I am in the mood for, and maybe, having a big friends list was a pain for a long time because it wouldn't load. But maybe this is sort of the payoff of that, which is like, if I happen to be, and I tend to be sort of, especially when I'm not drinking, like during the week, I'm playing a game, I tend to be kind of shy, but sometimes I'm like, you know what, I'm going to see if somebody I'm loosely connected with, because they're on my friends list, wants to do like a strike in Destiny, and I send them a message. So having more than 100 people, I think, has been hugely important to that. Like today our raid, for instance, we had 5 people sign up. It's a 6-person raid. We went through our friends list. We had a 6th person in a couple seconds, and it was like, would that have happened if we had a 100-person friends list? We probably would have had the same 100 people, So that's something that definitely helps, I think.
So, of course, with any launch of new technology will come both delight and issues or troubles. And boy, There's a lot of troubles these days. Brian and I chatted a little bit about some of these troubles on the past week's episode of the Press Row podcast. But Pete, I know you have got some thoughts and observations, and some of them are not new because we've talked about a lot of these things over the past year. But I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about the latest in the series of failed launches. In this case, Assassin's Creed Unity, which was riddled with significant bugs and crashes and just all sorts of craziness. Had an embargo on it that was, none of the sites that had agreed to the embargo could even publish their review until it had already been out for 12 to 18 hours. He had Halo Master Chief Collection, which had significant, major problems. We're not talking about bugs. We understand that every game has bugs. Every game has issues. Every game has design decisions that you may or may not agree with. But we're talking about, I would see for days and days and days, and I would talk to friends of mine that were just trying to play Halo and literally couldn't. Mm-hmm. So, these are the latest in a year of troubled, to say the least, launches. Pete Dodd, I don't even know where to start, so I'll just toss it to you and say, what are your thoughts on specifically Assassin's Creed Unity and Halo Master Chief, as well as perhaps even more globally since the launch of the PS4? Just what is going on with the launches of these games?
Well, we shouldn't leave out DriveClub. I know it's been beaten to hell, but that it still isn't completely fixed.
Well, it's kind of the poster child, right? It really is.
Yeah, it is. The one that upsets me the most, and I don't know, I always try to sort of justify things and whatnot. I'm not a huge Assassin's Creed fan, so maybe this is my bias, but I don't think it is. I think the Assassin's Creed thing is huge because they had an embargo that was 12 hours late for us in the United States. That's a day late for my friends in New Zealand, my friends in Australia, people Europe, it's half a, or over, it's almost a day late there. It's that's crazy to me that you can have, and that people abide by embargoes that are so far afterwards. And it used to be back in the day, I keep going to this whole back in the day, and back in the day, with this is a year and a half ago, it used to be if a review is held until right before launch, it means that it's a crappy game. And it usually did, and then all of a sudden, good games started holding back, and it was oh no, I think Far Cry 3 was one of them. It was Far Cry 3, they're holding it back until right at launch. It must be crap, and then it came out and it reviewed well, and it killed that notion that a held back review meant a crappy game. So now it feels like the vast majority of reviews come out the second that the game comes out on the East Coast in the United States, which is already too late for the rest of the world. And now we have Ubisoft pushing it even further to 12 hours after the games come out. And in Ubisoft's case, if the game was great, people may have just been whatever, that it was stupid, but the game's awesome, but the game's broken. So, it has major issues. There's all sorts of videos everywhere, people just falling through the map, for just frame rate issues, all sorts of things. It's not completely broken because I know a lot of people who are enjoying it quite a bit as well. So it's not, it's not unplayable, but there's major bugs that they clearly didn't want people to know about. So that just is a huge warning sign to me that we're going in the wrong direction.
Not only major bugs, Pete, but also like literally like microtransactions were completely, they were even like turned off for the people that were doing the reviews.
And they're microtransactions are supposed to be, 99 cents. They have a microtransaction that's $99.99.
Macro transactions. That's
Yeah, I took microeconomics in college and macroeconomics in college. There ain't nothing a microtransaction like about a $99 transaction.
It's insane.
Well, remember there was last year, wasn't there a car in Forza 5 that was like $100 or something to buy, and everyone was up in arms about that back then too.
Well, but that's a great example, Brian, of another sort of the Forza 5 was a launch title. It was riddled with transactions. It shoved them in your face. It was a $60 game. It was not complete, or it did not compare to the previous entries in the series as far as the number of tracks and the number of the cars and the number of options. And so it started off like, with Battlefield 4 being a complete catastrophe and Forza 5 being a very different experience, and here we are a year later with Assassin's Creed Unity and Halo Master Chief Collection. And Pete, I know I cut you off. I'll send this back to you in a second. But the other thing that I find just bizarre, the Halo Master Chief Collection is right now an 87 on Metacritic. How is that remotely possible for a game that doesn't work in most cases? And even not just the matchmaking, the broken matchmaking, but the campaign. You can't play co-op. It just crashes, and the campaign in at least 2 of the games just has massive problems. How is that even? I don't even know how to finish this question.
Rich.
So I won't.
Rich, we've seen this in sports games too. Media sites that don't evaluate online play, right? And especially, you can go back and look at NBA 2K14 reviews, which didn't take it into account. They didn't take into account the online performance, the server stability, or the microtransaction implementation. It's a rush to get reviews out. We talk about the embargo with Assassin's Creed, but either way, whether there was an embargo or not on Halo, the reviews were going to come out without the game being played with the public online. It was going to be just based on whatever private network they had played on, if they had played it online at all, which is not even the case, sadly, all of the time. So,
but what motivation is there for a publisher to deliver high quality when they deliver something that is terrible that gets an 87 on Metacritic?
It's the next one. It's the next game, right? Because usually, a publisher will learn, or the reviews will come in. The media outlets will look like fools, like they have in this case with Halo, and then next time they become skeptical, and maybe they want to take it out on them and drop their reviews down a bit just because of the way they were treated and made to look. I think that's where it becomes something where this trust between the media and the publishers degrades over time.
Yeah. And Metacritic scores in general have been down. Like, I'm not the hugest fan of Infamous Second Son, but the fact that it has the lowest Metacritic of the 3 Infamous games is absurd to me. Like, it's just absolutely absurd to me, just in terms of like gameplay variety and like all the different mechanics and the fact that you get so much different stuff. And you compare that to like Infamous 1 and 2, it's just far better of a video game, and it's like 5 or 6 points down from what those scored on Metacritic. So like Metacritic is just weird and hopefully becoming obsolete.
Well, I don't know if it's obsolete or not. I would like it to be, because the more that I continue to observe and participate in this business, the less value I see in reviews at all. And I put myself in the reviews that I do right in that. Like, I'm not
Well, yours are the most worthless.
They are. They are terrible. Have you read those things? I don't even think I know how to write a complete sentence.
Do you get to do the snippet that shows up on Metacritic, or do they choose that out of the review?
They choose that.
Yeah.
And I I always am interested to see which snippet they choose, because sometimes I'm like, ooh, that was a good one, and sometimes like, no, that was like the worst sentence in the whole thing. How do you choose that? Like, that doesn't even say anything.
Yeah.
That was, oh yeah. So, but
can I pop in real quick,
Sure.
just while this is in my head? Going to Brian's point about like how you learn going forward. I would say in the case of NBA 2K, it reviewed really well last year. It sold really well last year, but there was a lot of outcry about the VC. And the VC is still pervasive this year, but they toned it down quite a bit. And
Yes.
they didn't have to. Like, they didn't have to in terms of Metacritic or units sold, but I think they heard people starting to go, you're pissing me off right now.
Yeah,
And,
that's a great point. You're right.
you know, so like, I mean, like, NBA 2K is actually somebody who's dialing it back, where Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed's like, no, give us $100 after you pay $60, and after you pay $30 or $25 for the season pass, give us another 100 so you could buy a sword and a.
There's also don't you need to? I read that you need to have the mobile app also to
Yes.
to do certain things in the game, which I think is hilarious because number one, NBA 2K has their own mobile app also, but you get basically free stuff out of it. But the idea that, I don't know, it might have ads in it, it might not, whatever. It's promoting their own game and probably their own brand and their company. But I just thought it's hilarious that now you need to extend into another device to get out of this game what you were supposed to in the first place.
Yeah, I was watching an Assassin's Creed Unity stream, and because this guy had a really high quality card and connection, and I felt like I was getting I wanted to see what it really looked like, because I mean, that is one of the things about the built-in stuff on the consoles, that they're not great at showing detail like a high-end card on a PC will. So as I'm watching the stream, and this guy finds a chest, and it says, you have to do blah, blah, blah missions on the mobile app to unlock this. And I closed the stream right then. I was like, fuck this. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. Like, you have to get your phone? What if you don't have a phone? I mean, like, I don't know. It's so insane the direction some of these things are going in.
Well, let's talk about two of those things, each on its own. There's the technical aspect, and then there are the design aspects. So let's talk technical for a minute, because I know all three of us are very heavy computer programmers. We're all extremely skilled. We've all built games and made games. So, all kidding aside, one feeling that I get, and a question I keep asking people, and I don't ever feel like I get the right answer to, is, are these AAA games just too ambitious and too big for their own good? It sure feels that way. Like, it feels to me that the combination of people working on these games, when I say these games, I'm talking about like Battlefield 4, which was completely broken at launch, and Halo Master Chief Collection, completely broken at launch, still broken. DriveClub, completely broken for weeks, significant parts of it. Assassin's Creed Unity, and I'm sure there are others.
There's many others.
I mean, is it just they're too big? There's just too much understood? Are publishers using last-gen development techniques and project management in next-generation systems? Like, there's no company that has escaped this. Even Nintendo has had problems with the Wii U, right? I mean, last Christmas, with the system updates and things, EA, Activision, Ubisoft, Sony, Microsoft, whether you're a publisher, whether you are a platform holder, you've all got problems. Is there just literally too much going on, and these things are too big and too ambitious to get this stuff figured out, Pete Dodd?
Yes and no. I think that this is part of the growing pains of a new generation. You know, I mean, and the fact that the start of this generation is far more connected online and trying to do all of these things online than the start of the last generation, that's what's standing out to us, you know. But I think that there is a bit of trouble every generation. You go in, you're learning the technology, you're learning what you can do. You think, you plan out, and especially with these franchises that come out every year, like Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, what have you. Like, you have a date set no matter whether the game is done or not. It's just like, we put an Assassin's Creed out every holiday season. End of story. And so this is the first Assassin's Creed that is next gen or current gen now only, and it clearly needs another 6 months in the cooker, but they don't have that. But how could they have known that 2 or 3 years ago when they started? I mean, they were basing the planning of the entire thing off of the development cycle of last gen, but these machines are very different. So I think that these things are going to get ironed out over time as all of these developers get more and more comfortable with these machines. I hope so, at least. But at the same time, I do worry that it may also just be like publishers not giving a crap. Just like developers are like, the game's not done, and they're like, whatever, just ship it, we'll patch it later.
Brian, how do you feel about being that kind of a consumer? Somebody who is viewed as, well, hey, if they like this franchise, they're going to buy it when it ships, as opposed to, we want to impress people with an amazing game.
Well, we have plenty of experience with that in sports gaming, Rich.
Yes.
Because this is what they do every year. I mean, they count on the hardcore people to buy every year, and then they try to draw in the casuals on an every year basis or every 3 years, whatever it might be, to maximize their revenue potential. And there are years that are down years in sports games, and there are years when there are major issues with a sports game, and then the people come back the next year. Or they don't. There have been plenty of series that lost people. It just takes more than 1 year. And so it's interesting to see series like Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, anything that comes out on a yearly basis. They're handled a little differently, and they're considered a little differently by consumers compared to sports games. But eventually, people catch on, and that's why you see series die out, or you see them rise to prominence. I mean, that's why NBA 2K went up and NBA Live went down when Live had led. That's why FIFA went up and Pro Evolution went down 5 or 6 years ago. People catch on. It just usually isn't overnight. And that's the thing is, one bad release or one offensive mistake that a company makes, if they correct it, they can usually recover the next time around. But if they don't, if they just continue that and they're ignorant to it, it catches up to them.
Have sports game fans actually been the best? Have we had the best experience this generation, Pete Dodd?
No. I don't know. That's difficult to answer. I would say that the releases last year were above our expectations, because the beginning, especially the 360, because it came out a year before the PlayStation 3, the sports games the first year on the 360 were just missing modes. They were missing all sorts of things that they had, on the original Xbox and on the PlayStation 2. And we were kind of expecting the same thing this gen, and for the most part, we got all these games and they were full. Like they had everything except NBA 2K didn't have the online association, and it still doesn't. And I mean it had it, but it's
Yeah.
fucking worthless. I mean it's freaking worthless.
Absolutely completely worthless. Yes.
And it's but they pushed NHL back, and when it finally came out, it felt like what we thought the launch sports games were going to be, but it was like almost a year later. It's like, well, it's missing this mode, it's missing this mode, it's missing, So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, games have been sort of all over the place. I've had more fun with Madden this gen than I think I did the entirety of last gen. But that's mostly because of you guys and the Press Row League and now the Dodd League. And, I don't know that the game is way better than it was. I don't know. I don't know if I would say any genre in particular other than digital games, indies, mid-tier studios putting out stuff like they have flourished this year. The fact that we have the golf club, alongside like the Binding of Isaac, alongside of Spelunky, all of these different things, and Max the Curse of Brotherhood, even though that was late last year. That's all those games are amazing. Those games I think haven't really let us down more than this. The sports games have in certain ways.
I would agree that sports games have let us down in certain ways, but in other ways, like I'm right now, like just this week, I have played multiple games of NBA 2K15, played multiple games of NBA Live, played multiple rounds of the golf club, played multiple games of Madden, played multiple games of FIFA 15, played multiple games of Pro Evo 15, and I have played multiple games of MLB The Show. That's just this week, and it's November 2015, and I am playing all of those games. Not to mention, UFC and NHL were delivered and then significantly upgraded after the launch. So I know a lot of people like to give sports games a hard time, annual releases and this and that, the other thing. But I feel personally, as somebody, I look at my list of games, or I look at those boxes of the games, and I look at them like, man, I could play these games every day, all day, and really enjoy a lot of it. None of the experiences are perfect, but my goodness, they are good enough to where I'm playing NBA 2K15, NBA Live, Golf Club, Madden, FIFA, Pro Evo, and MLB The Show right now.
Well,
I've got to say something.
I'll tell you what, the sports games are the same team putting out a game every year. Assassin's Creed has 3 teams. So basically, each team has 3 years. So the fact that Assassin's Creed Unity, comparatively to any sports game, is more busted, has bigger problems when they had 3 years to get ready, compared to and most of this fall's games, they're coming off shorter dev cycles because of the fact that the systems came out in November.
That's right.
So
absolutely right.
Madden and NBA 2K, all that stuff launched later on these systems.
Yeah, the truth is,
and the games work.
And the truth is, next year, right, next fall will be the first set of fall sports games that we will see on this new generation that will have a full life cycle. That's kind of amazing.
I agree.
Brian Weedeye, what have you been playing?
Oh, we're up to what have we been playing now? Okay.
Yes, we are.
So I've been playing a lot. Well, there's obviously, our Madden League. I'll get some of the quick ones out of the way. The Madden League, which is in the off season now because you refused to pass on the last drive in the Super Bowl. What was that all about, by the way?
All right. Okay. Let's do this right now. Okay. I I finished as the number 2 seed in as the Eagles. I won a playoff game against Corey Andrus, 17-14, a hard-fought game. Then I won the NFC Championship on the road against the Packers, the number 1 seed, Evil Craig Kuyava. Craig, you know who you are. You are an evil. You're evil. You are a very, very evil player of Madden. Although
He was deemed evil early in the season, right?
and he was a
I
little.
don't know what you're talking about.
He was even a little evil. He went for it on 4th down, on 4th and inches at his own 25 early in the game, and I stuffed him and got the ball. And frankly, that was one of the key plays in the game. So I beat 2 very good players, and I made
And
it.
then you lost to a shitty one.
And then I was down 21-20 in the Super Bowl with the ball with 2 minutes left, and I just needed to get that first down. And I had been running the ball very well. And as you guys know, when you are passing into a defense that is set up for passing, you're going to get an interception.
4 straight runs, Rich.
And I got 9.9 yards. All right? I just didn't get that last yard. Look, when you throw into the teeth of a pass defense in Madden, the ball's going to get picked off, especially when you got that defense that TJ has. I was just trying to get that first down. That's all
I have a
trying to do.
follow-up.
Go ahead.
Follow-up question. Recently, you lost in the Dodd Scientifics Madden League in the divisional round.
That is true, yes.
Which is before the Super Bowl. So would you say that the caliber of play in the Dodd Scientifics League is higher than the Press Row League?
I would say that the top end of the Dodd Scientifics League is very high quality and would give anyone in Press Row or the 4-string a run for their money. I would absolutely say that.
It's surprising to me, honestly, looking at who's playing. Like right now, I mean, it's Mick and a bunch of dudes from the site. Like it's not, like I figured you'd be there. Brian should have been there, but he didn't take the Seahawks. So the
Buccaneers were in hindsight a bad choice, but I'm making some moves there. I already cut Vincent Jackson. It's funny. I thought we were in. I thought I played the last game of the season. I thought it was week 17. I cut Vincent Jackson. Then I'm like, oh, that was week 16. So it doesn't cost me any money, but
nice.
It's funny.
So yes, I lost to TJ Lyman 21-20 in the Super Bowl. Look. I've made certain decisions during the year that have done me well and certain decisions that did not. There have been times where I went for it on, I threw a pass when if I could have just kneeled down, I would have ran the clock down, but I wanted to make sure I went for the kill shot. I had a great year. I won the NFC Championship. I made the Super Bowl. I lost the Super Bowl by a point. This press conference is over.
Did you throw up in the huddle like Donovan McNabb?
I kind of thought, when I was watching it, I kind of thought he must have been tensing up or something. Because Rich, I understand your reasoning, but as I was sitting there, I'm like, if I was on defense or if I was TJ, and I knew you were, and I had a choice, it would be for you to run 4 straight times in that situation. So.
Well, hey, look, TJ played a great game. It went back and forth. I had the lead, he had the lead, I had the lead, he had the lead. It was a great game. I lost by a point in the Super Bowl. Clearly, looking back, I made wrong decisions. At the time, they felt like the right call, but I lost. All right? I'm sorry.
Do you feel like this is the last chance you'll ever have in your entire life to win a Super Bowl in an online league?
Oh, I do. I really do. As soon as the game was over, I'm like, yeah, this was it. If it was going to happen, this was the time when it was going to happen. For a couple reasons. Number one, it's hard enough just to get the breaks. Like, I had to get some breaks to make it to the Super Bowl. To beat Corey by 3 points and to beat Craig by 3 points, a lot had to go my way. Craig had a fumble. He was driving for what would have been the winning touchdown, and he had a fumble, and I picked it up. And plus, we're going to the off season. I'm terrible at roster management. Awful, so bad. I don't want I want to cover my eyes and have it be week 1 of year 2. Like that's what I want. So that combination, I'm already heading into next year. Like yeah, that was it. This was as far as I was.
When I made the Super Bowl and I ended up winning that, when I was playing the game, I was thinking to myself, if I don't win it here, who knows if I'll ever get back, right? And I needed the breaks too, Rich. If you remember, I led for 0 seconds.
Yes.
I made it to the Super Bowl without leading.
Yeah.
In regulation in any of those games. I won in overtime or on last-second field goals, and I hadn't had a lead at any point in those games. So I knew I was on. I was tempting fate a bit. So, but getting back to what I've been doing. More importantly for our league, I now have $65 million under the salary cap, which I will be spending. I will be upgrading my Jaguars significantly. I cut Mercedes Lewis, and I had a Zane Beatles, a mediocre left guard who was going to make $6 million. I saved $6 million cutting him, so I got $65 million, and I saved $4 million cutting a kicker. So I'm ready to pull in some big impact makers for my Madden team. And then I've been playing NBA 2K, playing some My Career mode, and what else have I been playing?
Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, Lego Batman 3 I just started to get into. I wanted to talk more about that, but my friend's daughter and I, we only got through about the first level, so it doesn't make much sense to talk about. But I still love the game, and I love the concept and the design and everything. But yeah, Sunset Overdrive is where most of my time has been going. I love this Sunset Overdrive game. I really do. It's my favorite game of the year. There's no doubt about it. Every time I play it for, I'll sit down and I'll play a half hour, 45 minutes, or an hour. There's multiple points in that time where I laugh out loud. I'm not the type that laughs generally out loud watching movies, TV, or playing video games. But there's some really funny stuff in that. It's just kind of my type of humor, I guess. This fourth wall stuff and breaking the fourth wall and this really sarcastic tone to it. And the language, I actually think, the language they use actually amuses me. So, and every little story turn, which leads you to more of these missions. You kind of have like pockets of missions based on where the story has taken you. Just really clever stuff, really unique stuff. And using all the different weapons and improving my skills based on what I do. I really love the way that they designed the game, and so I'm hooked on it. And I don't know how much more I've got left to it, but I'm excited to finish it out.
Well, how much have you played? Because you've been playing it a lot since it came out. Because you accidentally bought it, right? I mean, this was well. Explain the accidental purchase and then how much you played of this game.
I pre-ordered it on Amazon. I think it was during E3. I don't remember why, because I don't think I had watched any videos of it. It was more like, I think I'm going to want something to play on my Xbox. That basically what it led up to. And then the release was nearing, and I still didn't really know anything about the game. So I was like, whatever, maybe I'll get it Black Friday or something for cheap. And then I get a shipping confirmation email, and I'm like, okay. And the reviews came out basically the same day, I think, and they were really good. So I was like, all right, I'll stick with it, and I'll play it, and I'm glad I did. I think I would have eventually either way, but I'm really glad I did. It's my favorite game of the year, which is I haven't played every game. I can't say it's the best game of the year or anything. It's just my personal favorite at this point.
I'm really interested in this because what I had heard, and again, I haven't played but 2 minutes of this game at a friend's house. But I heard some concern, not from people that reviewed it, because I haven't read any of the reviews, but from people who had just started playing it, that they're like, the controls are kind of crazy, the game moves sort of fast. I don't know if this is going to work in the long run. It feels like a one-trick pony. Clearly, for you, it
went. I had that same concern, right? I talked about it last time, which was, do I have the capability to do all this stuff at the same time? Because you have to be moving. You have to be on, while you're shooting these things or defending and trying to kill these monster type things. that people have morphed into. That I didn't know at first. I was like, okay, but now I've got the controls down. And I love moving through the map. It'll be, you'll have a destination, but it's fun getting there. Unlike the Grand Theft Autos or the Red Deads, and that you spend 15 minutes traversing to the next mission. I'm having fun because you're grinding on the rails. I've got like an air boost now, which gives me a boost through the air. Super jump. I got like a super jump now. All these different skills that actually make it fun to get from one place to the next. And those are the same skills you use when you're fighting things. So it really, you start to understand it, and it becomes second nature. And now I'm like, I feel like I'm a pro out there, which is weird because I usually don't feel like I get that good at it. I haven't tried the multiplayer though. That'll be interesting when I actually jump in to try that. But I feel like I'm good at it, which is surprising because I didn't think I would be.
Interesting. Anything else on your list of sort of what you've been playing?
No, I think that's it. No, Forza Horizon 2 I want to play more, but I'm gonna finish Sunset Overdrive first. I really want to get through that, and then we'll see for Black Friday and stuff which games that I wasn't sure about before that I jump on because there's a deal on, and I'm sure there'll be a few of those too. But for now, Sunset Overdrive's kind of taken over me.
Pete Dodd, what have you been playing, sir?
I've been playing a lot of things. I guess the biggest, newest thing that I'm playing, which is one of the wonderful things of having a digital share, is one day I woke up, and as I do most mornings when I wake up, I grab my Vita and I remote connected to my PS4 because I'm stupidly addicted to that Battle Islands game, which is, when I first played it, I was like, this is like a phone game. Found out later it literally is a phone game. So I go on and I do all of my stuff because it's time gated. So you get to do stuff for like 5 or 10 minutes and then you have to wait several hours. And I do all my stuff, and then just sitting there is Lords of the Fallen. I'm like, oh man, I really wanted this game, and the person I have a share with got it, and since the way the shares work, like you end up being their home system, they end up being your home system, so it auto-downloaded. And I'd first played it actually through SharePlay because I wasn't sure if I wanted the game, and it was one of the first games I played through SharePlay, and it was from Utah to New Zealand, so there was a fair bit of button lag, but I got a good feel for the game, and so I got it, started to dig into it. I really like it. I really like the way that it feels. It's not a Souls game. It is clearly influenced by them. It has its own unique wrinkles, which are really cool. It is also lacking in certain areas. The atmosphere of it specifically doesn't feel as just sort of intense or unique as the Souls series does, but it's clearly based off it. It's a smaller developer. It has issues. The frame rate drops, which if you're a console Souls fan, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, all of them have frame drops, so it's not out of the ordinary to be playing this type of game on a console at least. But I've played Dark Souls 1 and 2 on the PC at 60 frames per second, where these games are all 30. So it does feel a little heavy and slow at times. But I'm really, really enjoying it so far, except for the fact that it keeps just crashing me to the operating system.
Ugh.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's it's another in a long line, and I Googled it, and it's happening to a lot of people. It's not happening to everybody. There must be some certain circumstance that you know, if you have something set up. Typically with these types of things, it's like if you have too many friends or if you have too many games installed, like it's always some weird thing. But I happen to have that, so like I'm just playing, I swing my sword, error thing pops up, would you like to report the error, blah, blah, blah. So that has been a bummer for me. But I am really enjoying the game, and I do think it's a game that I'm going to play to completion, and I haven't yet finished Dark Souls 2. I'm not ready to say that it's better than Dark Souls 2, but Dark Souls 2 fell off my radar really quickly. It felt like a huge step backwards. And this game, obviously, you know, and I'm coming at this as a writer, someone who went to school for creative writing, and every teacher said, you know, like, you know, the best writers steal. So you try to mimic someone's style, and in doing that, you can't do it perfectly, so your own stuff sort of comes through, and in the end, you have something that, you know, is uniquely yours. And I think that this game does that. Like, it clearly started off as, like, we're going to be a Souls game, but then they're like, well, what if we do this? It's like, you get this modifier, which keeps raising how much experience you get. So, like, you keep killing guys, but then when you get to save points, if you save, it refills all of your health potions, and saves your progress, but it also resets your modifier. So if you think to yourself, I can make it to the next save point, and then I'll get even more experience because my modifier will be higher. You know, like the whole risk-reward system there is huge, and it's awesome. It's really cool the way that all of that plays out. So they added their own wrinkles on top of the Dark Souls or Demon Souls formula. So I'm really enjoying that quite a bit. I just wish that, you know, it's pretty crappy when you are, you know, 10, 15 minutes from the last save point, or if you skip the save point and then the game crashes to the, I want to call it the desktop, but it's on the I'm playing on PlayStation 4. It crashes to the, you know, the OS.
So, I was going to say, so have you been having one of those moments when you're like, okay, no, I'm going for the next one. I'm going for it. Here I go. And then you literally lost all that progress because you didn't. Ugh.
Yeah, it's frustrating. There's already a patch out. I don't know. I'm thinking about deleting it and reinstalling it, seeing if that helps.
You're just guessing, though, right? I mean, you don't know if it's going to work. You have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, luckily it's a smaller game. It's only 9 gigs. It's not like one of these 60 gigabyte games. So I can download it relatively quickly.
It's like me with Pro Evolution. I couldn't get online for the first couple of days. So eventually, I stumbled my way into the settings and messed around with a bunch of the settings online. I have no idea what I was doing. And then when I backed out of the menu, all of a sudden I was online. I'm like, what? Okay, I now I'm online, and it just worked, and I just randomly changed a bunch of stuff. It's like it's weird, strange. So, hey, what else have you been playing? I mean, Pete, you are. Let's just have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You are the world's biggest DriveClub fan. You are a flat-out apologist, shameless apologist for the DriveClub.
Yes. It should cost $120. It's so good.
You know what it needs, Pete? I think it needs more microtransactions, right?
It doesn't have any. So yeah, absolutely. If they had a $99 microtransaction,
I would
I could level my club up. Boom.
Let's talk about Drive Club, though, Pete.
That would probably make Arne, divorce me or possibly stab me, being that she's Italian. But you know what? My club's that important.
But let's talk about Drive Club. I actually haven't played Drive Club. I've been looking at it. It's looking at me. I bought it. I bought this game myself, $60. There was no review. I went out and bought it. Played a bunch the first couple, 2-3 weeks. All of the problems aside, the core single-player game was okay, But I've just been having too much fun playing other stuff. I haven't put it in the last couple of weeks. If I plopped in Drive Club right now, I haven't played it for 3 weeks, what's going to happen? Is it all fixed? Is it better? Is it amazing? Is it still struggling? What's going on with it? What are you playing on?
It's mostly fixed. It works most of the time. Every once in a while you'll get an error, and the funny thing about that is that it will tell you've disconnected from the Drive Club servers, but then your scores will still get uploaded and your points will still go to the club, and it's like, well, that can't happen unless I am connected. So it may be disconnecting for a second and then reconnecting. I don't know, but for the most part, it works pretty well. The matchmaking needs to be a little bit better for multiplayer races. I don't really care about multiplayer races because this isn't just a Drive Club thing, but any racing game online, people drive just like so absurdly defensive, and I don't mean defensive in the conservative way, but defensive as in like, I see you in my rearview mirror, and if you're going over here, I'm going to smash you off this side, and if you're going over here, I'm going to smash you off this side, and it's frustrating. So that's less of a concern to me. Challenges are still turned off, so I don't know. The thing is, though, is that challenges might be worthless. We don't know because they've never worked. It might when they finally come out, like we've waited so long.
Just change the dashboard to remove the box. It's so annoying to turn that box on or turn on that game and see giant boxes grayed out. Just get rid of the box. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, look, everything works. This is great.
Yeah, definitely. So they did just announce that we're getting the first of what would have been the season pass. We're getting the first month of that for free. People who already bought the season pass, or anyone who buys the season pass going forward, they added another month on the end.
No, I didn't buy the season pass. So I didn't buy a season pass. So do I get the DLC free?
Yeah, you are going to get it at the end of the month. We're going to get, I think, 3 or 4 new tracks. We're going to get a bunch of new cars, and we're going to get, I think, something like 15 or 20 new single-player events that you can go earn stars and all of that stuff in. So all of that is coming for free. But that is not what I'm doing right now. What I'm doing right now, and this was, I believe, it was Dr. Dam, and I should have pulled this up before I start talking, but he's a member of the Dodd Scientifics forums, and he was like, all right, Dodd Sci, Drive Club, time trials. In this course, you use this car, make sure you're on my friends list, you have 1 week. And I was like, right on. Like, I love doing time trial type stuff, as we've discussed on the racing episodes of Press Row, and we've talked about on the Doddcast. And there's, I don't know, probably about 7 or 8 of us that are into it, which isn't a huge group. But one of the things, and I wanted to bring this up when we're talking about sharing, one of the things that's amazing about this is, like, well, first off, like, you have a week. It's 1 car, 1 track. So you start really studying every corner. Do I power slide on this corner? Do I cut this corner? So we have all of these conversations, like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. But with the fact that we're able to upload video to YouTube, like, one of the guys who goes by the name of El Toro, but I think his PSN name is like Tony PS4. He got #1 in the world with this car on this track, and he uploaded the video to YouTube and put it in the thread and was like, this is what I did. And so I'm looking at it, and I'm like 5 seconds behind him, and I'm like, oh, you can do that on this corner. So like the whole share thing, like the whole social aspect, really changes this. You know, I mean, like I've talked about before, like how I used to do time trials in MotorStorm Pacific Rift, but we would record them with a phone. Like holding it, and it'd be shaking, and you couldn't really see what was happening because it was like a 1 megapixel camera, you know, and now we have really sort of clear video, and when you're playing, you get people's ghosts, like your friends' ghosts in there, so you can see how you're doing comparatively. And the past week, doing this one track with this one car has been some of the most intense racing I've done in a racing game in forever. It's been so fun.
Sounds like I should probably put it back in the old PlayStation 4 then, huh?
Yeah. There's people with crappy times who can compete with the... I know I can't get with the top. I say this because I can't touch the top tier. Like there's like 3 tiers. There's like guys that are really far behind. There's the middle of the pack, and then there's the guys that are at the top. And there's about like 3 seconds in between each one. I'm in the middle of the pack, so I'm trying to be first of the middle of the pack.
That's smart.
That's my goal.
That's smart. Well, as I've talked about, not only on this show, but on the Press Row podcast, I mean, I continue just to be thoroughly delighted by this slate of games that I'm playing. They're all sports games. I mean, I'm not playing, well, that's not true. I am playing a few things that are not sports games, but that's typically when I'm traveling, which I do every week. I have been playing a lot of Pixel Junk Monsters, which I don't know if anyone else is familiar with, but I play that on the Vita constantly. But a couple things I wanted to mention. Number one, I got Pro Evo this week. Went out to the store, bought it. Didn't do the review. You know, just plopped the $60 down myself and picked it up. And I will say this, Brian Weedeye, Pro Evolution feels like I'm playing a real soccer game.
Yeah.
I love FIFA. Like it's not really a knock on FIFA, but when you play Pro Evo and then you go back and play FIFA, the difference is stark.
I'll tell you, Rich. You know, the more I've played FIFA, the more little things have irritated me. Now, my basic understanding is Pro Evolution gameplay is probably superior, but what it lacks is the game modes, which is would still kind of kill my interest probably in the long run. It's a shame that neither one of the games has kind of both sides filled out completely.
Well, yeah, and that's where it's interesting because, well, I'll stay with the gameplay first. The thing that I recognize, and I'm a very big international soccer fan, but I'm not an aficionado. Like there are people that know much more about soccer than I do, not only just the real game but also video games. But I do watch the Premier League every weekend when it's on. Like this weekend there's no Premier League because it's the international week. I hate that. Like I'm now used to waking up on Saturday mornings and watching some Premier League. Like that's what I do. So when it's not on, it's terrible. So I watch that. And the thing that stands out to me when playing Pro Evolution is the spacing. Just when you're playing Pro Evolution, the players seem to be the right size for the field. Does that make sense, Brian? Because in FIFA, it just feels like the players are twice the size, and in Pro Evo, it's just like, wow, when I watch a Premier League game and then I look at Pro Evo, like that's 1-to-1. That works.
Yeah, like do you have room to navigate?
Yes.
Like in FIFA, guys are on you in a split second, and it can be frustrating that like for me, I can't really move the ball around the pitch very well because guys are on you instantly.
Not only is there room to move, but the players don't all run at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're holding the ball at midfield, you can just stand there for a second, and a couple of the players behind you will just stand, and then one of the other players will move. Like, not all the time, but I was shocked at one point when I had the ball, and I was running, and the rest of the guys on my team weren't. That happens all the time in real soccer.
Mm-hmm.
But in FIFA, to me, again, I'm not an expert, but in FIFA, it feels like everybody's running all the time. And in Pro Evolution, it just, between the spacing and what people are doing, it just feels so much more real. And then the other thing, I've only played a few games, but in every game, I was amazed at how when I did something, like when I scored a couple of goals early, all of a sudden the other team, they're like, well, forget this. We're going for it.
Uh-huh.
And they had been defensive, and they got down by a couple of goals, and then they went on the attack. The last game I played right before the show started, I got up 2-0. By the end of the first half, I was down 3-2. And it wasn't because what happens in FIFA, which is, you know, they're hitting the posts or they're just missing. It was because they were playing passive, and then they're like, forget it, we're turning it on, and you could tell. Like I sound like I'm like knocking FIFA. I'm really not, but.
Well, we're comparing and contrasting.
But to me, when I hit the button on FIFA, the D-pad to go, you know, from defensive to attacking, I can barely tell whether my team is doing anything different. In Pro Evolution, good Lord, it is obvious when the tactics change, and the computer actually does it. Now, I wound up winning that game 4-3. But it was the most thrilling 4-3 match that I've had. Now, when I play FIFA against somebody real like Pete or you, Brian, or Corey, and these are people that I feel like I'm on the same sort of level and we're playing the same sort of way, I have that same experience, but I never get that experience playing the computer. Playing Pro Evo against the computer has been a revelation. This is the first next-gen Pro Evo game. And I, again, relatively limited, but wow, I have been blown away when playing the game on the field by how it feels so much more like real soccer than FIFA does. I just, and you juxtapose that with what it lacks that FIFA does, which is the teams, and I disagree about the modes. There's a lot of ways to play Pro Evo. You can play Master League, which is a career mode, which is very in-depth. You can play My Club, which is their version of Ultimate Team, and what's funny about this is I've played more My Club than anything else because without most of the licensed teams, My Club makes more sense.
No.
It makes more sense because I'm just getting a bunch of players and stuff, and you've got single-player challenges that you can do and stuff like that. And you've got online competitions, and you can play the Europa League or you can play the Champions League, which is cool because Everton, for example, is in the Europa League. I didn't even know what the Europa League was a couple of years ago, right? So this is a great example of if I'm not a soccer aficionado, most of this stuff that I'm looking at is complete. I'm like, I don't know what any of this stuff is. But because of where I am now with understanding soccer and as an Everton fan, they're in Europa, which for those of you who don't know what Europa is, it is the second tier to the Champions League. The Champions League takes all the best clubs from the domestic European leagues and they play in a competition. Europa takes all the second best clubs and puts them in the competition. That's what Everton is in. And you can play the actual Europa League with the actual licensed the name and the trophy and stuff. There's a lot to do in Pro Evolution. There are a lot of modes, not as many as FIFA, but by no means is it just 2 or 3 ways to play the game. Pro Evolution is really, really good in a lot of ways, but there are some problems, and one of the problems is there's stuttering. I don't know why, but when I'm playing just against the computer, it feels like I'm playing online.
Is that one of the things where I don't know if it was that game, but there was another game this week that I saw someone. I don't know. It might have been Assassin's Creed or something that said, unhook your internet connection and the game will play smoother. I wouldn't be surprised, Rich, if you unhooked your Ethernet cable or you unhooked your Wi-Fi and the offline played smooth.
It's not that it doesn't play smoothly at all, but it stutters at times, and not like, it's like, it's more than just a microsecond. You might play 10 minutes and it's fine, but then all of a sudden for a minute or two, then you'll have those 1 second stutters, and it's weird, and it may have to do with being connected to the internet. It may need a patch. It's been in multiple modes. It's been just when I've been playing a one-off match. It's been when I've been playing in my club, and that's troublesome because you really should not see that. It's not a frame rate thing where the game slows down. In fact, after you score a goal, when you're watching the celebrations in 60 frames a second, it's kind of crazy. So, Pro Evolution in many ways is spectacular, but it's got some technical issues, and then of course we all know it doesn't have the licensing and the teams and stuff. And if you're not a soccer fan, like if you don't really know a lot about soccer, Pro Evo is better than ever at being accessible, but it's still, it's still. If you don't know soccer, you're gonna have a hard time getting into Pro Evo. There's no getting around it whatsoever.
Yeah, I need to pick it up in the next couple of weeks because we have a show coming up with for the Sports Game of the Year, Rich.
Yes, we do.
I saw that in an email, and I have no freaking clue what game I would rank on top this year. I mean, I can't remember a year where I've gone into it like, okay, every game has something that I don't want to reward it for. Like, there are so many. There are good games, but there isn't really the great one. I think last year for me it was MLB 13, the show.
Yep.
I don't remember, what did I give it. I think that was I gave FIFA, and then MLB the show was number 2 last year.
Yep.
And then the year before that it was FIFA, and the year before that I don't even remember what it was. But I'm clueless at the moment as to what I'm going to grant as the Sports Game of the Year, Rich. So maybe this is a sleeper once I get my hands on it and give it some time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm glad it's there. I love playing. I also love. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff I love about it. Like, I love the fact that I can set the controls to FIFA. One of the other problems with Pro Evo is if you go into the game and you just start playing it, if you don't change the controls to the second, there's like tier 1, tier 2, like half the buttons do different stuff than what you're used to with FIFA. But if you just switch the controls to tier 2, it's the same as FIFA.
Yeah.
And all it is doing all the same stuff but mapped to the buttons that you know. And it's great. It has completely made this game playable for me because I've played, I don't know, 75, 100 games of FIFA 15. Having to learn new controls for a game as dense as Pro Evolution would be disastrous. But being able to put the FIFA 15 controls, I mean, that doesn't say FIFA 15, but you know what I'm saying. Like, being able to use virtually the same buttons to do the through pass and the cross and the stuff has been wonderful. I just hope they can do something about the stuttering. If they get rid of that stuttering, boy, I'm going to have some fun. But the challenge for me is how to play this game. It's probably going to be Master League because that's just kind of got me written all over it. And there is supposed to be, it's going to come later on, it's going to come in the next few weeks, an online Master League where we can all play in the same universe with our own team, and I'm really interested. I could see, if we want it to be, if it works, and those are two big things, I could see that being this like cool little thing that 4 or 5 or 6 of us really get into and just have some fun playing. I could really see that. And I could also see it being completely broken and not working and being a disaster too.
I'm just going to throw this out there. If you bought me a copy of the game, I would play in that league.
Pete, just SharePlay through Rich's copy.
Okay, yeah, that works too.
The other games that I've been playing quite a bit of recently, and there are more, but are NBA 2K15 and NBA Live 15. I have accidentally stumbled upon playing both of these games, playing a Dynasty in NBA Live and playing my GM in NBA 2K15, and I am 9-5 in both, and the more I play, the more, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but with anything, the more you play something, the more certain things come through. And NBA 2K15 is so good, and NBA Live is so easy. It's just, it's funny. Like, I make three-pointers like a boss in NBA Live 15, and I call the same 2 or 3 pick plays in NBA 15, and I just crush. Like I've gotten into bad habits in NBA Live because I now know if I got Joe Johnson, I'm playing as the Nets. If I got Joe Johnson on the wing, then I just tap the button, boom, it's going in. I'm getting a green shot, and I'm hitting my three. If I hold that left trigger and I get my forward or my center to come in and block, I'm taking Darren Williams to the paint, boom, I'm scoring. And I've taught myself how to be successful at NBA Live, and instead of playing the game the right way, like I should play a basketball game, because I'm playing it on the treadmill, I'm just playing it the way that hit a three-pointer, call it pick and roll, boom. Then when I go play NBA 2K15, I got to play a real serious game of basketball. Like, you can't win at NBA 2K15 the way you can at NBA Live. And I'm not even saying that's bad. I kind of like it. I like the fact that I can just have a great time and kill at NBA Live 15, and then I got to really focus and concentrate on NBA 2K15. Pete Dodd, I think you're playing some MyGM. Every time I play MyGM in NBA 2K15, it gets better. That is a great mode. It is underrated. It gets bigger and better every game I play. More stuff becomes just more stuff becomes available, presents itself. Wow, how good is MyGM in 2K15?
It's amazing. We were talking last week, and I was saying that I thought my problem with the mode is that I'm a Celtics fan, and they're rebuilding, and it's not that fun to play games while you're rebuilding. And then I mentioned, I was like, it seems like the Celtics are going to deal Rondo. Maybe I should deal Rondo, get Marcus Smart back there, and go from there. And so, I went on the trade thing, and I was like, okay, Rondo, I need a power forward. I was like, I have good guards, I have a good small forward, I need a power forward. Well, I'm just see if I can do Rondo and LaMarcus Aldridge straight up. Got denied, but they were interested. So then I went back and I gave them a first-round pick, which is probably too much, but they were like, okay. So now I'm running with the Celtics, and
before you go any further, when they're like, okay, do you stop and say, wait a second?
Yeah, I just got fleeced.
I don't know. What happened here?
Could I give him my second round pick and got him? Yeah, like I immediately thought that I got fleeced. But at the same time, I thought to myself, like, I'm not really a big fan of simming games. When I play single player,
I never, ever, ever sim. I play every game, which is a problem. I hate simming.
So like I need to win this year, which the team I have talent-wise isn't necessarily a win this year team, but it's a video game. So if I figure out what they're all good at, I can win this year. And I now have the talent. I feel like I have a point guard who can score, who can pass. I have outside shooters. I have a presence inside. I have strong rebounders. Like, I feel like I can figure this out. So I'm having a really good time now with the fact that I feel like I have a team that has talent just from that one trade, but man, when my second team comes in, it just falls off a cliff. It's like, because I took the best player from the second team, Marcus Smart, and made him the starter, so it's like, I got guys coming in who are just like, I played basketball once in high school, and somehow they're on the Celtics. So it's been, so I try to just slow things down then, and then and I actually have gone to manual substitutions, which I used to do, but as I've gotten older, I've gotten lazier and just let the computer do it.
Yeah.
But I've gone back to it because it's like, I can't, because so many times it's like, it's near the end of the first quarter, there's like a minute and a half left, and all of your starters leave.
Yep.
And it's an entire second team.
Yep.
And I know that that's happening more and more in the NBA right now. Like, they're trying to make cohesive groups, but it doesn't work with my brain. It's like, no, you can take one of my stars out, but I need another scorer, so I'll play through that person. So I'm going back to like 90s style basketball instead of what's happening currently. But doing that still works, as I would assume it would work in real life, and does with certain teams in real life. Yeah, I am loving that game more and more and more and more and more. And there was definitely a long time where I thought to myself, like, when I got it, I was so mad that we were misled about the online leagues, and I'm still mad about that because you just cannot say online leagues are going to be like they were and there's going to be computer players and then not have them. That's not okay on any level. But I thought at that point, I'm like, I wanted this to play it online, like do an online league. An online league clearly isn't happening. I don't know when I'm going to play it. Turns out I now have two modes that I love. I'm still doing their version of Ultimate Team, and now I'm doing the My GM thing. So, yeah, that game's still awesome, even if it was misleading in a nefarious way.
It's also funny too, again, as you play more and more of these games, how much bigger and bolder and more ambitious NBA 2K is than live. I mean, when you play 2 or 3 games of your season in 2K and then you play 2 or 3 games of your season in live, you start to, wait, is this the thing where I just traded Andrei Kirilenko? Okay, no, Kirilenko's still on team. Okay, so is this where I need to get more minutes for this guy, otherwise he's... Oh, no, that's the other one. Like, So I have that whole thing going on because in NBA 2K there's 3 layers, right? There's what's happening on the floor, but then you're also as a GM, you're interacting with your staff. You've got an assistant GM, you've got scouts and stuff, and then you're interacting with your owner, and your owner wants you to do certain things, and occasionally, like before a big game, he'd be like, you better win this game. You better win this game. And you're like, wait, what? Oh, okay. So there's all of this stuff going on. And in an NBA Live, it's just like you got a dynasty going and you just play games. And it doesn't have any of that same level of it's got nothing other than the games. And by the way, I'm totally cool with that because NBA Live is my treadmill game. I play a game of NBA Live on the treadmill. And then before I go to bed, I play 2K because I want to sit, I want to soak it in, I want to interact with my owner and the GM before the game. I want to know what's going on. I mean, they're very different experiences. Yes, sir, Mr. Dutt.
I have two things. I had one thing, but now I have two things. First off, the fact that you dropped out of the Dodd Scientifics League going into year 2 in Madden has brought up many funny comments, including he has to make more time to play both NBA Live and NBA 2K careers.
That's true.
So there's that. But also, on the Dodd Scientifics front, like at the beginning of this podcast, JSev Seahawks beat Mix Bears quite handily. I think it was like 24-3. And then the Super Bowl actually just finished. So evidently we've been podcasting for about 6 or 7 hours now. The Super Bowl finished, and JSev Seahawks beat Blackhawks Broncos.
Seahawks?
Quite a margin. So he just stomped through this league like nothing else. So I'm thinking about kicking him next season.
Yeah, that would be good. It sounds like I gave him the best game of everybody because our game was relatively close until the end. I probably should have paid attention. I was like half paying attention during the game and half like, working on
excuses, yeah.
So,
but we do have a Super Bowl champ now in both Madden leagues.
Yeah, I got like $50 million under the cap there with the Buccaneers too. So
nice.
So I continue to thoroughly enjoy both basketball games, being very different and really enjoying both of them. But in particular, NBA 2K. Gosh, I love that game. Love that game. It's why I had to leave the Dodd Scientifics Madden League because I need that extra hour. Every hour a week I can get to play a little more NBA 2K, I'm going to take it. I'm sorry, Pete Dodd.
No, well, you know what? When you say to play more NBA 2K, that sounds reasonable. But if you were to say to play NBA Live, that's less reasonable, and you're playing both, so you're picking the one that sounds better.
I do what I have to do. What can I tell you? All right. Well, I think, gentlemen, that is a show. Before we go, Mr. Brian Weedeye, anything else that you wanted to bring up or mention before we call it a night?
Well, there was one thing, and I didn't want it to become a big conversation because we're heading up on 2 hours here, but I wanted to ask Pete his thoughts on PlayStation TV. Because this thing, if I understand right, it just came out, and Amazon already dropped the price $20 to $80. Am I understanding? Can you explain who it appeals to, and if it's expected to sell? Because it seems like maybe it's not. If I understand correctly, basically I would put it on a different TV, and I'd be able to play my PlayStation from there.
Yes.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, it is. It has extremely small expectations, at the very least in North America. I haven't spoken to anyone anywhere else, but it was released in really limited quantities because of the fact that it just doesn't deliver enough things to compete. For instance, it's a set-top box, and it's like a Roku or an Apple TV, but it doesn't have Netflix. And everyone's yelling at Sony about this. They're like, why doesn't it have Netflix? Come to find out, talking to somebody, Netflix, for whatever reason, I don't know if they have a deal with somebody, like it wasn't explained, but Netflix was like, no, we're not going to make an app for this thing. So it's not ever going to have Netflix. So having it as a TV device without Netflix makes it irrelevant. It's already irrelevant off the bat. So basically, at this point, the only reason to have it is if you want to play Vita games on a big screen, or it also works as a remote play device. So you could, if you have your PlayStation 4 in the living room, and then you have a television in your bedroom, you put the PlayStation TV in there, and then it will do remote play kind of like it would to the Vita, except for it's hardwired, so it's even quicker. And with the Vita, there really isn't any button lag anyway. But and so you don't have to buy a second PS4 if you have a second room that you go between. But those are really the only reasons. Like, I kind of want one so I can stream Vita games, because I do have the card that I needed, before this generation. But it's really limited in what you could or would want to use it for, and as such, it's not. I mean, the fact that they put out an extremely low number of them, and it still didn't sell well enough that Amazon's dropping the price to sell off stock. That tells you what the future of the device is, I think.
Pete Dodd, where can we find you on the internet, sir?
The best place is Twitter. I am at Pete Dodd. You can go to doddscientifics.com. The front page is sort of in a holding pattern right now while we work some stuff out, but the community is amazing. We have all sorts of stuff going on.
Yes, it is.
Forums are amazing. Like we have, like I was talking about before, the Dodd side, like the DriveClub time trials. We have Destiny.
Destiny. We're not going to talk about your Destiny.
where we make fun of Rich every week.
Not cool.
Yeah, like basically any major multiplayer game, we set up ways to play together or compete against each other and stuff like that. And it's nice because it's a smaller community. It's about 200 people, and everyone knows each other, and it's, I don't know, it feels much more organic than most message boards.
I would agree with that. Brian Weedeye, where can we find you on the internet, sir?
Yeah, I'm back. Remember on the last show I announced my retirement.
That's true, you did.
I'm back though, and but exclusively on Tinder.
Oh, all right.
Nice.
I mean, that's, if you want to find me, become female that lives in the Seattle area. That's it.
All right,
but,
good to know.
Yeah,
you're not on Manhunt?
What was that?
You're not on Manhunt?
Oh, I'm unfamiliar with that one. I'm gonna have to read up on it, Pete.
Google it.
Okay. It sounds like.
Oh Lord.
I don't know. I might not want to join that.
Or maybe you do.
Oh boy. All
I
right.
don't know. It's all about disseminating sports gaming information.
That's right.
If it's functional for that reason, I'll consider it.
Well, this has been a lot.
Guys there, so.
This has been a lot of fun. Thank you, Pete Dodd, as always, for joining. Thank you, Brian Weedeye, as always, for joining.
That thank you felt like shut up, Pete Dodd.
Not at all. Not at all.
Shut up, Pete Dodd, and have a good night.
Nope, not at all. But seriously, thank you for joining us. This is a lot of fun. I really do enjoy the crossovers. It's obviously fun to talk about sports games all the time, but it's also fun to talk about other things too. As we've seen, and particularly in the last few weeks, that sports games exist in this larger world, and there's a lot of things that we as sports games fans have been suffering through, Brian, that now I think a larger group of people are getting that sense. So it's an interesting world.
Don't forget, plug our podcast, Rich.
Of course, the Press Row Podcast, the #1 sports gaming podcast, distributed by our friends at Operation Sports. Check it out this week, where Brian Weedeye and Owen Good join me to talk about a lot of the things that we talked about, including embargoes and day one reviews and the era of broken launches as well. Lots of good stuff there. So please go check that out. Thank you, as always, everybody, for joining us here tonight live. Thank you for everybody that is listening through the Doddcast feed on iTunes as well. Go there, subscribe, and give that a positive rating as well. So, on behalf of Brian Weedeye from Pasta Padre, Rocky the dog from Pasta Padre,
yeah, it's bedtime,
and Pete Dodd from Dodd Scientifics, I am Rich Grisham. Thank you, everybody, for listening and for watching. I appreciate it. Have a great night. Cheers, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend.